Live from New Delhi, you're watching the India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, Prime Minister to visit Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu today to participate in Satya Sai Baba centenary celebrations in Puttaparthi and will inaugurate South India Natural Farming Summit in Coimbatore. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar calls on Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow, conveys Prime Minister Modi's greetings ahead of key India-Russia summit, calls for zero tolerance on terrorism at the SCO meet. US House of Representatives and Senate approved release of Epstein files. Donald Trump set to sign the bill into law as early as Wednesday. Scotland clinched 2026 World Cup qualification after 28 years. Defeat Denmark 4-2. Spain and Switzerland 2 book World Cup ticket. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit the holy shrine and Mahasamadhi of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba in Puttaparthi to offer his obeisance and pay respects in Andhra Pradesh on Wednesday. Prime Minister will participate in the centenary celebrations of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. He will release a commemorative coin and a set of stamps honouring the life, teachings and enduring legacy of Bhagwan Sri Sai Satya Baba. Prime Minister will also address the gathering during the programme. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also travel to the southern Indian city of Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu on Wednesday. Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate the South India Natural Farming Summit 2025. He will also release the 21st installment of PM Kisan, amounting to more than 18,000 crore rupees to support 9 crore farmers across the country. Prime Minister will also address the gathering on the occasion. Siddharth Bhardwaj gets us more.
In a boost to sustainable farming practices, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the South India Natural Farming Summit 2025 in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu on Wednesday. The three-day event, scheduled from November 19 to 21, aims to promote chemical-free, sustainable and eco-friendly agricultural practices. The Prime Minister will also release the 21st installment of PM Kisan Samman Nidhi, a government scheme offering financial support to small and marginal farmers across India. Under this, more than 18,000 crore rupees will be transferred to nearly 9 crore farmers across the country.
We are very much interested to start the organic farming all over India under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji is very much interested to cultivation all the crops under the natural farming.
Farmers praise natural farming as a sustainable and eco-friendly practice that promotes healthier living.
I am getting more money in the organic farming and natural farming because the land is developing 0.5% only carbon content. Now it will make 5%. So I will get more yield from the natural farming.
The summit, described as a first of its kind gathering, brings together farmers, entrepreneurs, stakeholders from across different states like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, and Karnataka, along with leading scientists. With over 50,000 farmers expected, the event will also showcase indigenous technologies.
India is showing its way to the entire global community how without a poison we can take our food. So there is a very important message, and we are again, it is not only for the purpose of the region, and we must be thankful to our Honorable PM for creating an awareness about the organic farming.
The South India Natural Farming Summit 2025 is widely seen as a potential game changer for the agricultural landscape and the growth of natural farming in South. Siddharth Bharadwaj's report for DD India.
All right, our correspondent Siddharth Bhardwaj joins us from Coimbatore. Siddharth, we've seen the detailed report of yours wherein you've talked of the prospects of the summit and how Prime Minister will be attending and addressing the gathering. You're there in South India. Help us understand the scope of natural or organic farming in South India, because agriculture or farming mostly is synonymous with northern part of the country. But you're there in South India. Help us understand to what extent will it boost the economy of the region, and also when we specifically talk of agriculture in South India, what does organic farming or natural farming mean there?
First of all, a very good morning to you, Preeti. And to answer your question, South India is actually excelling when it comes to natural farming. I'm here in the southern part of the region, as you know. I'm in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi today will be inaugurating the South India Natural Farming Summit 2025. Preeti, this is one of a kind summit, and this will go on for 3 days from 19th to 21st of November. And the special focus in this summit will be on the natural farming and its significance and how it promotes healthier lifestyle, healthier life, in fact. Because it uses all the chemical free thing that is put in the crops, and there is this type of farming. When it comes to natural farming, it doesn't uses any chemical, any sort of pesticides. It uses cow dung, it uses natural inputs, it uses vermicompost, which further also promotes soil health as well, Preeti. This summit will bring together the farmers, like I've said in my report, entrepreneurs and stakeholders, also scientists, and will also showcase modern technology as well. So in that manner, this is a very significant summit, which is one of a kind summit. As far as some stats are concerned, Preeti, according to some reports, the centre government has planned to include 1 crore farmers when it comes to natural farming, and 22 lakh hectare of land has already been included in the natural farming. The centre has also identified 22 districts wherein the use of pesticides was going above the use of the average level, which is 138 kilograms per hectare, but it was going above 200. So that's the reason these 22 districts that have been identified by the centre in the entire India, there will be special focus on these particular districts. So yeah, the centre is leaving no stone unturned to make sure that farmers more and more adopt the natural farming practice, because it uses vermicompost as well as it uses all the natural inputs and fertilizer free food, which further promotes healthy life. Because in this modern world, Preeti, we all know that there are several kind of illnesses, and there are different kind of illnesses that are emerging. So to be free from there, to save the human life from these, it is very important to know what we are actually eating, and if we are eating a fertilizer free food, that it will actually promoting the healthier life. Further, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also release the 21st installment of PM Kisan Samman Nidhi, which is a scheme by the centre government for the small and marginal farmers, and 18,000 crore rupees, I have just mentioned in the report as well, will be transferred to 9 crore farmers. It is happening for the first time in India through this scheme, Preeti, that the amount is directly going in the accounts of the farmers, and they are further benefiting from it. So all in all, a special focus is being given by the centre on the agri production, and the agri production of India is not only strengthening the food security of the country, but also strengthening the food security of the entire world. So that is what the significance of agri production is, and the natural farming is. So this is one of a kind summit, and we had a word with some farmers as well, Preeti, yesterday, and some people who were there at the venue, and they were really, really happy. They were really happy with the way Prime Minister Narendra Modi is giving special focus, for number one, to the farmers, and number two, to the region of South India. They were really happy about this summit. They said that they will have a chance to interact with the stakeholders. They will have a chance with interact with other farmers. They will have a look at the modern technology that is being used in the natural
there
farming,
are a lot of
because
opportunities.
it's very important in today's world. Definitely.
Yes.
Preeti, so people are really, really happy. There will be use of indigenous technology, and I am giving a special focus on this word, indigenous technology. This is coming at a time, Preeti, when Bharat is walking on the path of Atmanirbharta, which is self-reliance, which is aligning further with the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047, when the Bharat will be celebrating the centenary of its independence, Bharat is expected to manufacture everything under the sun. So in that manner, this is a very significant summit which will promote natural farming, and the message, although the summit is happening in the southern part of the region, but message is going in the entire country, and not just the entire country, but the entire world. And we will tell you as and when the other events will unfold.
All right, all right. We leave it here, Siddharth. We leave it here. We'll come back to you again during the day when the event starts. Thank you so much for joining in with those inputs. In other news, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar called on Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow on Tuesday. He conveyed greetings of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and apprised him of preparations underway for the upcoming annual India-Russia summit. The two leaders also discussed regional and global developments, on which Jaishankar said that he deeply values Putin's perspectives and guidance on further advancement of India-Russia ties. Dr. S. Jaishankar is visiting Moscow, where he addressed SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting, asking global community to display zero tolerance towards terrorism. He added that India has the right to defend against terrorism and will exercise it as it has done in the past. Besides this, Dr. S. Jaishankar also extended support to SCO's reform agenda. He also pushed for making English as an official language of the grouping.
Officials from Shanghai Cooperation Organization countries gathered in Moscow on Tuesday for the Council of Heads of Government meeting. India was represented by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Jaishankar extended support to SCO reform agenda. However, he also pushed for making English an official language of SCO.
India strongly supports its reform-oriented agenda. We welcome centers addressing challenges such as organized crime, drug trafficking, and cyber security. As the organization becomes more diverse, the SCO must be more flexible and more adaptable. To this end, the long-delayed decision to make English an official language of the SCO must be prioritized.
Recalling SCO's founding principles, Jaishankar reminded member states of the bloc's mission, combating terrorism, separatism, and extremism.
We must never forget that the SCO was founded to combat the three evils of terrorism, separatism, and extremism. These threats have become even more serious in the years that have passed. It is imperative that the world display zero tolerance towards terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. There can be no justification, no looking away, and no whitewashing. As India has demonstrated, we have the right to defend our people against terrorism and will exercise it.
Established in 2001 in Shanghai, the SCO has grown into a pivotal regional body. As SCO countries evolve, India's push for reform and linguistic inclusivity signals a broader vision for a more dynamic and responsive regional alliance. Bureau Report, DD India.
On it, our correspondent Akshay Dongre is joining us to get us more. Akshay, good morning. We were shown a short report, a brief report on India's participation at the SCO, telling our viewers about the important points that were put forth by External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. How do you evaluate and how do you gauge the importance of India's participation at the SCO summit? What were the key takeaways? What were the key points of participation?
Well, perhaps one of the most important one was Dr. S. Jaishankar pointing out to the leaders of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization that is in fact emerging as one of the most premier and important multilateral forums in the world, that it was found to combat terrorism, extremism, and separatism. While doing it, we must remember that Pakistan also remains a part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So it was a direct message going to the Pakistani military, to the Pakistani intelligence, as well as the Pakistani government, that has been not only funding terrorism but also promoting the usage of terrorism as a state policy. So we have seen the kind of action India has taken during Operation Sindoor, but once again, India has reminded not only Pakistan but also its allies and the countries that have supported Pakistan traditionally, that this this is something that India will never negotiate upon. India will never, give any sort of leeway as far as any world country is concerned regarding, the threats of terrorism, the threats of separatism, and extremism that have not only killed several innocent people, but also that continues to threaten conflict among world nations. So that was perhaps one of the biggest key takeaway. Second one was obviously the push towards adoption of English as an official language, because there are several regional languages that can be adopted. For example, the languages that are currently there at the SCO as official languages are Mandarin and Russian. But inclusion of English is going to be is going to mean inclusion of a large population of the world that doesn't speak Mandarin or Russian. So that was the second key takeaway. But besides the message and the push for reforms, there are several key issues that India has been taking up as far as isolationism is concerned, trade, freedom of navigation, freedom of movement in the maritime domain. So all of these were the areas where India touched upon, as well as pushed for reforms.
All right, Akshay. Also, when we talk of External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar in Russia, he also met Russian President Vladimir Putin, and issues of mutual interest were discussed. Also, the upcoming India-Russia summit that was also taken up. You get us a gist of the meeting.
Well, many of the details are confidential. As a matter of fact, they were also not shared by either of the sides, because we have a very high-level meeting upcoming in about 3 weeks, and these meetings are a precursor to that. Earlier, Dr. S. Jaishankar met his counterpart in Moscow, Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia. And then he also called upon President Putin. It was a courtesy call. It was also a precursor to the visit of President Putin. But as far as Dr. S. Jaishankar's visit to Moscow, all in all is concerned, then several areas such as defense, such as manufacturing, energy supplies, collaboration in energy sector, all of these have been touched upon. The momentum has been given to these areas, so that when President Putin comes, both the sides have clarity over the kind of collaboration that it is going to finalize as well as sign, during the upcoming visit of President Putin.
All right, Akshay, we leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. And Australia's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Penny Wong, will attend the 16th Australia-India Foreign Ministers Framework Dialogue and her 26th meeting with the Indian counterpart, Dr. S. Jaishankar, in New Delhi today. In a press release, she said that the cooperation under the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership reflects deepening alignment and shared vision for a peaceful, stable and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. She said that her discussions with Jaishankar will set the course for an even more ambitious, future-focused agenda as the partnership enters its next phase. She added that two sides look to enhance cooperation across cyber and strategic technology, trade, maritime security, defense, sports, and people-to-people ties. Together, Australia and India are working bilaterally through the Quad and through multilateral institutions to advance both nations' collective security and prosperity. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal launched the Trade, Intelligence and Analytics, that is TIA portal, a unified digital platform aimed at improving transparency in trade data and strengthening evidence-based decision-making for policymakers and businesses. The TIA portal, developed by the Department of Commerce since March 2024, integrates global and bilateral trade database, including UN Comtrade, into a single analytics system. It offers more than 270 interactive visualizations across over 28 dashboards, providing insights into India's bilateral trade patterns, global flows, and market diversification opportunities. The platform includes tools such as the Trade Watch Tower for identifying champion products, dashboards tracking production-linked incentive scheme, commodities, surge monitoring systems for import and export anomalies, and a critical minerals tracker covering over 30 minerals at the HS code level. Tariff analysis and target monitoring dashboards are currently under development. The minister said the global services sector offers huge opportunities for Indian enterprises and added that the new portal would support exporters in making better use of free trade agreement.
It's a great wake-up call for all of us the current volatile situation in the world. If we don't now pool all our resources, government and private sector together, in this situation, we will really live to regret a lost opportunity. Friends, on our part, we offer you, come up with whatever your demands are. We'll do everything under our command to try and do it. If it is within the department, we'll do it very quickly. If it involves other departments, we'll work on it very actively with other departments and try to get it done. When we talk of QCOs, our idea is not to create any burden. If there's a problem, come back to us. We can always resolve it. But idea is to build the quality consciousness that the world can recognize and respect and experience. Or Indian quality, high quality.
India has issued a strong call for urgent United Nations Security Council reform, saying the system is stuck in artful delay and procedural acrobatics. Speaking at the start of the new intergovernmental negotiations framework session, India congratulated the new co-chairs from Kuwait and the Netherlands, but warned that the UN's credibility is at risk. In its sharp message, New Delhi said the 80-year-old Security Council structure no longer reflects today's geopolitical realities. It accused the IGN process of becoming the theatre of the absurd, noting that in 17 years it has produced no text, no outcomes and no progress. India stressed that decades of discussions have yielded nothing, arguing that consensus is being misused as a veto.
Let us not forget in recognizing the reality. All that we have seen in this forum over nearly 2 decades is not action, but artful delay, procedural acrobatics, and a quiet, calculated resistance to change an 80-year-old architecture that is representative of a bygone era. This situation is neither representative, nor equitable, nor credible. There is a need to make the UN fit for purpose by redesigning this framework in order not only to make it reflective of contemporary geopolitical realities, but also to redeem its crisis of legitimacy.
It demanded expansion of both permanent and non-permanent seats, early text-based negotiations and priority for Africa's representation in the permanent category. India also backed representation for small island developing states, but rejected faith-based claims for Security Council seats.
India supports the representation of small island developing states in a reformed council. However, similar claims by other cross-regional groups such as OIC are not comparable. Faith cannot become the determining criteria for council entitlement. The composition and framework of an expanded and reformed council may be decided upon by members of the General Assembly. India stands fully ready to contribute meaningfully towards this agenda, including the IGN framework. Progress on the agenda is dependent on the commitment of member states to meaningfully contribute towards this endeavor in a forward-looking and constructive manner. India urges all member states to come together in this regard. Narrow considerations and parochial views need to be set aside for the larger good of the effective functioning of the Security Council.
Afghanistan's Minister of Industry and Commerce, Nuruddin Azizi, will begin his 5-day official visit to India from today. He is expected to visit the India International Trade Fair 2025, besides meeting Indian officials, especially those related to trade and commerce. This marks one of the highest level visits from the Taliban government to India since their takeover of Kabul in August 2021. Earlier, Maulavi Amir Khan Muttaqi, Afghanistan's Minister of Foreign Affairs, concluded a 6-day visit to India in October this year, marking the highest level engagement between New Delhi and the Taliban regime since the 2021 takeover. India will host the 7th National Security Advisor level meeting of the Colombo Security Conclave in New Delhi from today. The 2-day conclave, which will be chaired by India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, aims to boost India's role as a security provider in the Indian Ocean region. Thus, the focus would be on maritime security, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, counter-terrorism, cyber and blue economy. Its member countries are India, Sri Lanka, the Maldives, Mauritius and Bangladesh, with Seychelles as an observer. The conclave, established to enhance maritime security, counter-terrorism, cooperation and the capacity to address international threats, facilitates the exchange of intelligence, joint policy coordination and capability development among member countries. Bangladesh is facing growing international scrutiny after a court sentence deposed Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to death in absentia. Global rights groups, the UN and major think tanks are questioning the fairness of the trial and warning of serious human rights concerns. The verdict has triggered political tensions at home, with the Awami League calling a nationwide shutdown. We get to more in this report.
International rights watchdogs and global think tanks have questioned the fairness of the trial that led to the death sentence for deposed Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. After UN expressed regret over the verdict delivered in absentia against Hasina and former Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal by Bangladesh's International Crimes Tribunal, Amnesty International also condemned Monday's ruling. Amnesty International Secretary General Agnes Kalamard said the decision represents a grave miscarriage of justice, warning that it fails to ensure accountability for last year's violence and risks deepening Bangladesh's human rights crisis. This trial and sentence is neither fair nor just. Victims need justice and accountability, yet the death penalty simply compounds human rights violations. It's the ultimate cruel, degrading, and inhuman punishment and has no place in any justice process. Human Rights Watch said the trial violated international fair trial standards. Its Deputy Asia Director Meenakshi Ganguly stressed that all criminal proceedings must meet globally accepted norms. Bangladesh court finds Sheikh Hasina, tried in absentia, guilty of crimes against humanity. While perpetrators should be held to account, international fair trial standards require a right to proper defense, concerns exacerbated by death sentences. Human rights spokesperson at United Nations, Ravina Samdasani, said the UN regret the imposition of the death penalty, which they oppose in all circumstances.
While we were not privy to the conduct of this trial, we have consistently advocated for all accountability proceedings, especially on charges of international crimes, to unquestionably meet international standards of due process and fair trial. This is particularly vital when, as was the case here, the trials have been conducted in absentia and led to a capital punishment sentence. We also regret the imposition of the death penalty, which we oppose in all circumstances.
Bangladesh remained calm but tense on Tuesday as security forces maintained a tight grip across major cities following the Awami League's call for a nationwide shutdown protesting Hasina's death sentence. Security cordons, checkpoints and barricades stayed in place in parts of the capital. Meanwhile, Bangladesh's interim government has warned all print, electronic, and online media to refrain from publishing statements by Sheikh Hasina, citing national security and public order. Ravindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
All right, Naval Sang Parmar joins us from Dhaka. Naval Sang, we've shown the detailed report about the consequences of the death sentence, but you Arjun, joining us from Dhaka. Tell us more about the current law and order situation in Bangladesh.
Law and order situation in Bangladesh is under control. Yesterday and day before yesterday, there was a lockdown called by the Awami League party, and due to that, people preferred to stay at home. And there were some sort of fear among the people also about unwanted incident may happen. So last 2 days went more or less peacefully. Today, now it is a open day, and there may be regular movements of the people on the streets and roads of Dhaka. And as far as the law and order situation concerned, then there is no major incident reported yet.
All right, no major incident has been reported. Also, we tell our viewers about the growing international scrutiny on the death sentence that has been put forth for Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in absentia. Get a spot on that. What international reactions have been garnered?
As it is mentioned in the report that Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and UN agencies have criticized the development in Bangladesh and raised concern about the fairness of the trial conducted by the ICT, locally ICT, International Crime Tribunal in Bangladesh. One thing I would like to mention here that as after the verdict came, Sheikh Hasina made a statement through social media platforms. The things is the Yunus administration has a pass order for the media not to publicize that statement made by the Sheikh Hasina, and if they do so, then there will be a punishment or action will be taken against the media house. So in a democratic society, it is a very alarming concern, alarming thing that if she is not allowed to make public statement, then we can imagine that what would have been happen in the tribunal, where there was no defense for her. Technically, there was no defense, and the court picked the advocate to represent the Sheikh Hasina and to defend her. So that is the situation in democratic society, in legal system. There should be a proper chance to the accused to make his or her case in the trial, during the trial. Without the defense option, how one can defend herself or protect herself.
Right.
So that is the alarming thing.
Yes. All right, Amal Sang, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. In other news, India showcased defense manufacturing and technology collaboration opportunities at the Dubai Air Show 2025, hosting an industry roundtable chaired by Minister of State for Defence Sanjay Seth. Representatives from around 50 companies across India, UAE, US, UK, Australia, Brazil and Italy attended the session. The discussion focused on joint defence production, technology cooperation and encouraging global firms to explore manufacturing in India. Officials highlighted the rapid expansion of India's defence innovation ecosystem, marked by a surge in startups and MSMEs and strong Indian participation at the air show. Thousands of attendees were treated to a stunning drone display on Tuesday during the new Air Show After Dark event on the second day of the Dubai Air Show 2025. The show featured hundreds of illuminated drones forming images of historic and modern aircraft, Dubai's skyline, satellites and futuristic aviation designs. The performance capped a day of high-profile flying displays and networking. Organizers praised it as a seamless blend of technology and entertainment at one of the world's premier aviation events. You're watching DD India News. Are we heading for a short break? But after the break, US strikes defense deal with Saudi Arabia. Trump announces F-35 jet sales. Maria Corina Machado unveils Freedom Manifesto urging accountability and global support for Venezuela. A powerful snowstorm strikes Patagonia in Chile, killing 5 tourists.
This week on Defence Dynamics, we unpack the post-Operation Sindoor shift in India's internal security dynamics. We spotlight DRDO's new AI-powered underwater system transforming the mine warfare. We examine the Army's latest upgrade in war missiles for T-90 fleet and track Indonesia's interest in BrahMos boosting India's export reach. Catch the complete breakdown this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Prime Minister will be visiting Andhra Pradesh. We'll get you a quick relook at the top stories. Prime Minister to visit Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu today to participate in Satya Sai Baba centenary celebrations in Puttaparthi and will inaugurate South India Natural Farming Summit in Coimbatore. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar calls on Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow, conveys Prime Minister Modi's greetings ahead of key India-Russia summit, calls for zero tolerance on the terrorism at the SCO summit. U.S. House of Representatives and Senate approve the release of Epstein files. Donald Trump set to sign the bill into law as early as Wednesday. Scotland clinched 2026 World Cup qualification after 28 years. Defeats Denmark 4-2. Spain and Switzerland too book World Cup ticket. Lawmakers in the U.S. House of Representatives and Senate approved a bill with only one no vote to compel the Trump Justice Department to release a trove of files from investigations into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The Epstein Transparency Act passed the House of Representatives on Tuesday by a vote of 427 by 1, sending a resolution requiring the release of all unclassified records on Epstein to the Senate for consideration. The Senate passed the bill before it officially received it from the House and then adjourned. This means the bill will officially pass Congress on Wednesday. Donald Trump, who campaigned against the bill before an abrupt U-turn, has promised to sign it into law. The Justice Department then has 30 days to release all files related to Epstein and his co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that broadcasting licenses used by affiliates of Walt Disney's ABC should be taken away after he disagreed with a question posed by a reporter for the network in the Oval Office.
ABC's, your company, your crappy company, is one of the perpetrators. And I'll tell you something. I think the license should be taken away from ABC because your news is so fake. And it's so wrong. And we have a great commissioner, the chairman, who should look at that, because I think when you come in and when you're 97% negative to Trump and then Trump wins the election in a landslide, that means obviously your news is not credible and you're not credible as a reporter.
President Trump announced on Tuesday the formal designation of Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally during a White House gala dinner with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that we're taking our military cooperation to even greater heights by formally designating Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally, which is something that is very important to them. And I'm just telling you now for the first time because I wanted to keep a little secret for tonight.
The U.S. and Saudi Arabia signed agreements on arms sale, including F-35 fighter jets and a civil nuclear energy cooperation. Trump said that the U.S. would sell F-35 stealth fighter jets to Saudi Arabia.
No, we're going to have a deal. They're going to purchase F-35s. They're buying them from Lockheed, and it's a great plane. We make, by the way, the best military equipment. You saw that during the Iran little skirmish. We make the best planes, the best missiles. We make the best offensive missiles. We make the best military equipment in the world. Nice.
Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman pledged to increase Saudi investment in the U.S. to $1 trillion, though details and a timeline were not provided. Trump defended Saudi Crown Prince, stating that he knew nothing about the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, contradicting U.S. intelligence assessments. The Crown Prince denied ordering the operation but acknowledged responsibility as the kingdom's de facto ruler. Spain announced 817 million euros in new aid to Ukraine. Spanish Prime Minister said that his country will provide 615 million euros in new military aid to Ukraine over the next month. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at Moncloa Palace in Madrid on Tuesday and announced an additional 200 million euros in financial support to help with Ukraine's reconstruction.
Over the next month, Spain will mobilize a new military package for Ukraine worth 615 million euros. And along with 615 million euro package that I've just shared with you, I've informed President Zelensky that our country will deploy a new 200 million euro financial support instrument starting today to boost Ukraine's reconstruction.
Zelensky will travel to Turkey on Wednesday, where he is expected to coincide with U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff for talks about reviving hopes of a potential peace deal with Russia. Spain has faced criticism from NATO allies for refusing President Trump's call to raise defense spending to 5% of the GDP, though it continues to support Ukraine and is participating in new NATO defense missions on the eastern flank. Zelensky also visited Pablo Picasso's Guernica at Madrid's Reina Sofia Museum. Zelensky viewed Picasso's Guernica, which Sanchez described as a universal symbol of the horrors of war and a call for peace. Sanchez recalled that Picasso wanted Guernica to return to Spain only after democracy was restored, a milestone Spain now marks 40 years on. Hamas has rejected the U.S. drafted resolution on arrangements in Gaza adopted by the UN Security Council on Monday. In a statement posted on its social media account on Tuesday, Hamas said that it and other Palestinian factions and armed groups will continue to uphold the Palestinian people's rights to resistance and self-defense. The statement emphasized that any proposed deployment of international forces to Gaza under the current framework would amount to a form of trusteeship or imposed administration, thereby restricting the Palestinian people's rights to self-determination and autonomy. The statement warned that if such international forces were to function as a security mechanism coordinating with the Israeli authorities, they would become a new tool for aggression against the Palestinian people and the continuation of efforts to eradicate them. Egypt annulled parliamentary votes in over a quarter of the first-round constituencies on Tuesday in one of the most significant disruptions to national elections in recent years. Polling began last week for the first of the two rounds to elect the final parliament of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's third term, which is his last under the current constitution. The elections use a hybrid system with seats divided between individual candidates and fixed closed lists. Egypt's National Elections Authority cancelled votes in 19 of the 70 constituencies due to violations, including improper advertising, missing vote tallies and counting inconsistencies. Earlier, Sisi urged the NEA to address the appeals, while the pro-government national list cleared the 5% threshold, securing many seats. Turnout was about 23%, with the second round set for next week. German Foreign Minister Johann Wadephal urged Kosovo's political parties to swiftly form a government, warning that a 9-month stalemate risked slowing the country's reform path and its ambitions to join the European Union. Wadephal, speaking during a joint news conference with Kosovo President Osmani, said that voters had the right to expect concrete policies to follow democratic elections. Kosovo has been fully without a fully functioning government since the inconclusive poll earlier this year, with rival parties unable to agree on a coalition. The political vacuum has delayed budget decisions and slowed work on reforms required by Brussels, including judiciary and economic. Venezuelan opposition leader and Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Corina Machado released a manifesto on Tuesday declaring that Venezuela stands on the threshold of a new era and demanding accountability for crimes against humanity. In a video message, she announced the Freedom Manifesto. Machado proclaimed that this regime's long and violent abuse of power is coming to an end and that a new Venezuela is emerging from the ashes. The opposition leader, who has been in hiding for over a year, framed her message around fundamental human rights and made an urgent appeal for international attention to Venezuela's political prisoners. A Peruvian congressional committee on Tuesday approved a bill to extend temporary permits for informal miners until the end of 2027 amid protests by miners against their pending expiration. The bill will now be debated in a full plenary session of Congress for the final approval. The Re-Info program, which provides temporary legal status, has been extended multiple times and is set to expire in December. Many miners, most of whom extract gold, are seeking up to 5 more years to transition out of the temporary system. Formal mining companies and industry professionals have voiced concerns that another extension could increase illegal activity. The debate comes just 5 months before general elections, in which many legislators are seeking re-election. An Argentine court removed Judge Julieta McIntyre from her position on Tuesday following her involvement in a documentary that compromised the trial over Diego Maradona's death. The jury unanimously decided to dismiss McIntyre following her involvement in Justicia Divina, an audiovisual project documenting the legal investigation into potential criminal responsibility for the soccer legend's 2020 death. A video footage showed Judge McIntyre being interviewed inside the Buenos Aires courthouse, violating judicial rules. Judge McIntyre resigned in May over ethics allegations, but her formal removal proceeded. The scandal led to Maradona's medical trial being declared a mistrial on May 29th. 7 medical team members charged with negligent homicide and facing 8 to 25 years denied all charges. Maradona died of heart failure in 2020 during post-surgery recovery, and his trial was later nullified due to judicial misconduct. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum rejected a potential U.S. military intervention in Mexico after President Donald Trump suggested the previous day that he would support more aggressive measures against drug cartels, including ground strikes. The exchange occurred as the United States intensified actions against drug cartels outside U.S. territory, which has included approximately 20 known attacks on drug trafficking vessels in international waters in the Caribbean and Pacific since early September.
Yes, it's not going to happen. In fact, there was a statement afterwards. I have mentioned many times in the conversations I have had with the President Trump, phone calls where he has suggested on several occasions or has said, we offer you military intervention from the United States in Mexico, whatever you need to combat criminal groups. But I have told him on all occasions that we can collaborate, that they can help us with the information they have.
Brazil's Minister of Indigenous Peoples on Tuesday hailed the issuance of declaratory ordinances for 10 new indigenous territories as a crucial step towards securing long-promised land rights. The measures, signed on Monday by Justice Minister Ricardo Lewandowski in coordination with the Indigenous Peoples Ministry, pushed the demarcation process towards its final stages, with only a presidential decree now needed to grant formal titles. Under Brazil's system, FUNAI, the Justice Ministry and the Presidency each play a role in establishing and protecting indigenous boundaries designed to keep invaders out and guarantee ancestral land possession. The announcement comes as COP30 enters its final stretch in Belém, where global leaders face mounting pressure to turn climate pledges into concrete action to protect the Amazon and defend indigenous rights.
This is an important delivery because it recognizes the demarcation of indigenous territories, which continues to be the priority for indigenous people in Brazil. Given the historical passivity, we are coming out of 6 years in which there was no approval. So we are starting this second week of the COP with a package of 20 indigenous territories, continuing with the demarcation process.
Pacote de 20 territórios indígenas.
5 tourists were killed in a powerful snowstorm in Chile's Torres del Paine National Park in the southern region of Patagonia. The authorities stated on Tuesday that 4 more who were reported missing had been found alive. 2 Germans, 2 Mexicans and 1 British national were killed in the snowstorm. Authorities are focused on retrieving the 5 victims' bodies and may complete the work by tomorrow as per the weather conditions. According to the officials, the tourist became lost near the national park's Los Perros camp, reachable only by a 4 to 5 hour trek from the closest accessible point by vehicle. The area was struck by a snowstorm causing whiteout conditions with fierce wind speeds surpassing 193 kilometers per hour, that is equivalent to a Category 3 hurricane. Nigerian security forces have intensified a massive search for 25 girls abducted by gunmen from a boarding school in Kebbi. 2 students escaped, offering the only glimmer of hope as anguished parents wait outside the school. According to the police, armed men stormed the school on motorcycles, exchanged fire with the officers, then scaled the perimeter fence to seize the girls. The kidnapping comes amid rising U.S. scrutiny after President Trump condemned alleged religious persecution by extremist groups. Meanwhile, ISWAP claims that it executed a senior army general and another gang abducted 64 villagers in Zamfara. The attack revives painful memories of the Chibok girls, underscoring a crisis now spiraling across the nation. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Scientists in England have unearthed the skull of a fin whale buried on the University of Exeter's campaign after the animal died in 2020. The 2-ton head had been interred to allow the bones to clean naturally. The skull would aid research and eventually serve as a community memorial. According to a poll by YouGov poll, around 40% of young people in England use artificial intelligence for advice, support or company, despite many expressing a desire for more real-life connections. Most young people spend their free time on screens, often alone or in their bedrooms, highlighting ongoing issues of loneliness and digital dependence. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that he has identified his choice for the next Federal Reserve chair, while expressing frustration about being unable to immediately remove current chair Jerome Powell. Trump reiterated that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent did not want the job and continued to berate Powell, who he has repeatedly criticized for not lowering interest rates faster.
Started the interviews for the Fed chair?
Yes.
Who have you interviewed?
I think I already know my choice.
Who is it?
Well, I liked him, but he's not going to take the job. He refused. You like Treasury better, right?
Much better, sir.
So we are talking to various people.
Meanwhile, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had confirmed earlier that the list of candidates to replace Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has been winnowed down to 5, and President Trump said that the replacement is likely to be named by end of the year. Etihad Airways laid out a series of deals that will add 32 wide-body jets to its growing fleet, lifting targets for fleet size and passenger numbers by 2030. The Abu Dhabi carrier is buying 6 A330-900s from Airbus, and 9 will be leased from Dublin-based Lesser Avalon as part of the order, which was announced during the Dubai Air Show. In recent years, airlines have struggled with aircraft deliveries and increasing demand as Boeing undergoes multiple crises and Airbus struggles with supply chain challenges. The airline is boosting its fleet and network to better compete with bigger Gulf carriers as Abu Dhabi diversifies its economy away from oil, betting on sectors such as tourism. Let's talk of sports now. Scotland will go to the Men's World Cup for the first time in 28 years after stoppage time goals by Kieran Tierney and Kenny McLean secured a memorable 4-2 victory over Denmark at a Rockinghampton Park on Tuesday. The Scots led twice inside 90 minutes, twice lost that lead, then scored 2 fabulous goals in injury time, one from their own half, to ensure that they will return to the finals for the first time since 1998 in France. While Euro 2024 winners Spain also booked their ticket with a 2-each draw against Turkey. The draw extended Spain's unbeaten streak to 31 matches. The 2026 World Cup in Canada, Mexico and the United States will mark Spain's 17th appearance in the tournament, continuing an unbroken streak of qualification that began in 1978. Their sole triumph came in 2010 when they lifted the trophy in South Africa. Switzerland too qualified for next year's World Cup despite being held 1 each by Kosovo on Tuesday. Switzerland finished top of Group B with 14 points, completing an unbeaten qualifying campaign. And we bring to our viewers spiritual traditions of Charya dance, which has been preserved primarily by Newari Vajracharya priests in Nepal and dates back to the 7th and 8th century. Performers dress like a deity with elaborate jewelries like living goddess Kumari, Tara, Kurukule, Saraswati, Kalbhairav and Kali for the sacred Vajrayana Buddhist dance. Now, the dance is accompanied by traditional instruments like the damaru and cymbals. Alright, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.